I didn't know till I was 48.
But you don't look autistic.
Sounds like someone's got a touch of the Tism, if you know what I mean. Not everything is a symptom of autism. Sometimes people just enjoy things.
It seems like autism is on the rise with Gen Z, and I'll even extend this out to millennials. And a lot of this is due to this rise of content and people finding it relatable and really self-diagnosing themselves in it. And yeah, for some people, it is almost a trend, it seems like, and they're just attaching themselves to this label to be a part of a group and feel something. While for others, it is very serious, and it's oftentimes the first step to really understanding who they are at the core after years of symptoms and things in themselves that have just been overlooked. And I know what that feels like, because even for me, as someone that's clinically diagnosed with ADHD, I knew I was different. I knew things were weird and off, but once I got the diagnosis, it helped me out so much in really helping me understand who I was as a person and how to navigate the world that is best suited for someone with a brain like mine. With that being said, in this video, we're focusing specifically on autism, and although we'll touch on it a little bit, how autism and ADHD do cross a lot of different paths, we'll focus on ADHD in another video and how I personally deal with it now that I am an adult. So be sure to subscribe if you want to be notified on that video. What is autism? Autism, or autism spectrum disorder, is a developmental difference in how someone experiences the world, especially in how they communicate, how they interact with other people around them, and how they process information. And it's called a spectrum because it shows up in a variety of different ways for a lot of different people, but at the end of the day, they also have autism, even though it can vary. From subtle traits to more noticeable ones, every autistic person's experience is unique. Now, a lot of people think of the spectrum as like a straight line where you have less autism and more autism, with the terms like, oh, you have a touch of the Tism rising, that's where that's coming from, but that's not really how it works. Autism is more like a color wheel where you have a lot of different varying aspects of your life and how someone experiences the world, and it can really vary by person to person what their unique differences are and how they experience autism, because all these different traits can show up in a variety of different ways for each different person out there. And professionals out there do talk about autism in different levels, but the different levels don't really identify how much autism someone has, but more so how much help they need. Level 1 means requiring support. Maybe you can navigate most of life independently, but certain situations like loud spaces or sudden changes can be tough. Level 2 is requiring substantial support, where differences in communication or sensory processing are more noticeable day to day. And level 3 is requiring very substantial support, where a person may need significant help with routines, communication, or handling the world around them. And I know level 1 sounds like a little bit autistic and level 3 sounds like a lot of bit autistic, but that's not the case. The levels are just a way to understand and plan for the kind of support and environment someone might need to thrive. But at the end of the day, they're both autistic. I mean, going back to that wheel, I know two people who be classified as level 3, but they're completely different, like completely different. The only thing they have in common is the amount of support they need on a day-to-day basis. So with that being said, it's not like all 3s are the same and all 1s are the same. No, I know some 1s that have a lot in common with the 3. It's just the only difference is the amount of support that they're needing. Because again, it's literally a spectrum. And because it's a spectrum, that is really what's opened the door for a lot of Gen Z and millennials to really insert themselves into the conversation. It feels like it's everywhere. It feels like everyone's self-diagnosing themselves with autism because we're talking about it more online. TikTok, Reels, Instagram, like all these platforms have opened up the conversation, and it's really served as a place for people to connect and understand. They have become spaces where people are sharing their personal experiences, they're sharing their quirks, they're sharing how they move through the world, and other people are relating with it. And people are spending time consuming this content, and they're saying, oh wait, that kind of sounds like me. But I think what most people fail to realize is just because you can relate with someone doesn't mean you are that someone. People see that autism is on a spectrum and they think that, okay, since it's a spectrum, everybody can be on it, when in reality, again, that's not the case. Truth be told, there's just a lot of people out there right now that are claiming to have autism, when in reality, they're just bored, socially awkward teens that want to be a part of something because they have no identity for themselves. That's just a sad truth, but saying that shouldn't validate all the people who are actually realizing and finding out for themselves that they have autism too. And then there's this whole discussion about, well, it's the vaccines, it's what we're doing to the kids. Could it be? Maybe. And we'll get into that later on in this video, but I want to make it known that we do not have all of the answers. At that, there is so much happening all at once. Our food is more toxic than ever. More women are sharing their experience with using birth control and all the long-term effects that are coming with that. Isolation rates are skyrocketing with the use of technology and people just being recluses, honestly. Those are just 3 examples, but all of that is going on all at the same time, connecting more we're sharing more of our experiences, and we're understanding what it all means. I mean, off the bat, you're looking at some of these studies and examples from the 80s and 90s. Most of the kids with autism were white kids with money. When you know more people had autism back then was actually reported. Oh, there's a rise in people being autistic, or it's just more accepted and known. Truly, like, I'm on both sides. On one end, it is very irritating seeing all these people watch a couple of reels and then self-diagnose themselves as having autism and making it their entire personality and talking about it online and making it this big ordeal. And on the other side, I'm very happy for the sheer amount of people who are connecting and identifying themselves within these reels and within these TikToks that are out there, and they're really connecting with it, and they're seeking the professional help, and it's actually real, and they're learning the resources, and they're learning more things on how to navigate their lives for the better, and it's actually changing lives. So yeah, like, on one side, it's super annoying and frustrating, and on the other side, I'm very grateful for, and it's exciting to see in these people. Regardless, with all of that being said and outlined, and we have our baseline, let's dive right into a couple of different perspectives from people who do have autism and people that don't.
I am a high-masking autistic person, and this means that on the outside, I'm also seemingly high-functioning. Autism is mostly an invisible disability, and this is why I wish there was more focus on the internal experience of autism. On the outside, I may just seem like a quiet, sometimes socially awkward person, but on the inside, it's a much more rich and oftentimes more challenging experience than what people perceive from the outside. And this isn't anyone's fault. There just aren't many people who understand my internal experience or the internal experience of those who are on the autism spectrum.
And I think this is also a clear example of why, one, more people are identifying with autism and learning more about it and themselves, but two, this points to what we think autism is. It points to, I think, a society and a collective, you think of people who have autism as someone, you think of the kids in the special needs class back in elementary school, middle school, and high school. That's all it is. Like, you think it's that. You think it's someone that you see clearly has special needs. I'm trying to be respectful as possible, but also relatable. You know, that's what people think of, when in reality, autism shows up in a lot of different ways. And just people that have just put on a mask and they've, like, assimilated into society, when in reality is very taxing for them. That is a thing. And so, like, outside looking in, it's clear, like, okay, if we know more about autism and we know more about the different spectrum and what it means, it's clear that more people are going to be identifying with it, and it's going to be on the rise. That's just how my brain works. That's how I look at it. If we know autism is more than just the one kid you may see or experience, or the one cousin you may have, whatever it may be, that has the very, lots of stimming, the noises, like, needs the level 3 that needs a lot of help. We know that this includes level 1 and level 2. Obviously, this opens up the door for a lot of more people out there.
Most people don't understand the anxiety that comes along with my autism. Most people don't understand that when I say I'm overstimulated, it's not in a silly, goofy way. It's usually to the point that it's painful. People don't understand how hard it is to have such a rigid brain and a rigid thinking style that when there's something that disrupts my routine, it causes me so much distress to the point that I sometimes will shut down or have an autistic meltdown. People don't understand that I'm not trying to be rude in conversations. I'm not trying to seem better than you. I just don't know how to respond to you. Communication through these videos is a lot easier because there isn't necessarily a dialogue, and I can just speak however I want. I can take as many pauses as I want, but normal conversations are so hard. My brain is, like, completely blank. It's just so unnatural for me.
And I appreciate this guy sharing his experience, because there are a lot of people, especially in the comment section, that relate with this man. But it's also unfortunate because there are a lot of people out there who look at this man and say, okay, he doesn't look like he has autism. He's talking to a camera. He's completely fine. When maybe we should be more empathetic to people and understand and hear them out. I understand there are some bad apples that ruin the experience for people who actually deal with autism. But on the other side, we should still have some patience and understand where these people are coming from. Because I can already hear some people being like, oh, just grow up, pansy, or he's just being a pussy, or he needs to do this or that, when clearly, if there are thousands, millions of people relating to content like this and really trying to put to words what they've been experiencing their entire lives. Maybe there's something to it, and maybe for those who are very neurotypical, for those that don't have autism, don't have ADHD, whatever it may be, to just pause and kind of take in what these people are saying.
Autism and ADHD are just labels. You're perfectly fine. You don't need a label like that. These are the labels I had before my diagnosis. Spoiled brat, difficult, control freak, weirdo, high maintenance, annoying, bitch, rude, self-centered, bossy, temperamental, sensitive, black sheep, too much, dramatic. Not enough, try hard, teacher's pet, attention whore, show off, know-it-all, ditzy, bad listener, gullible, chaotic, misbehaved. The list goes on. These labels caused me to develop depression and anxiety. I thought I was broken and unfixable, when in reality, I just had undiagnosed autism and ADHD. My autism and ADHD label diagnosis saved my life, and I don't think I'd still be here if I hadn't been diagnosed. So instead of being scared of the autism or ADHD diagnosis, think about what other labels are being forced onto and ingrained into undiagnosed people. We deserve answers.
Facts. Again, I'll save the ADHD and my experience with that for another video, but this video is so true and relatable in the sense that I'm very quick to judge someone. It's like, oh, well, I have autism, or oh, I have ADHD, or I have depression, or I have anxiety. Sometimes I'm very quick to judge those people for having these labels, when in reality, like, you're still labeling them no matter what, with all these different names and bullying and judgments. You're still casting different labels and how you're viewing them yourself, especially for all the people who are neurotypical, or if we want to just break it down and just say normal. For anyone that doesn't act normal, they're oftentimes bullied. They're oftentimes called names. Oh, you're doing it wrong, or why you're always messing it up, or you're acting special, you're being weird. The list can go on. When in reality, their experience isn't wrong. The way they're going through life isn't wrong. It's just not neurotypical. It's called having autism. It's called having ADHD. And that label in itself, and knowing that, and having that baseline and understanding that about yourself, saves more lives than people may realize. Because yeah, on one end, autism is rising and it's trending and more people are diagnosing themselves with it, but there's also a rise in people actually getting clinically diagnosed, actually seeking out and getting the help that they need to understand how to navigate this world that's best for them. So at the end of the day, the person is still here. That person, they're not necessarily changing. Yeah, they got diagnosed with autism, but they've always had autism. Yeah, they got diagnosed with ADHD, but they've always had ADHD. This isn't something that you're just catching. This isn't something that's just spreading around. No, it's real things that people are going through, experiencing, and getting help for. Even for me, like when I was out in college and I was actually living on my own for once, I quickly, immediately saw that, oh, I'm very different. I already know I was different in high school. Like, I was voted most unique. I always spent time with the teachers. I never really was in lunch. I never really had like a friend group. I hopped around a lot. I knew how I was navigating things was very different than the average person out there, but I never knew how to put to words what I was feeling or what I was dealing with. I knew something was off extremely, to the point where I did drop out and I did take a year off because I just didn't understand. Like, I changed my major 7 times, you guys. Like, I just didn't know how to navigate anything. But what I did know is that I needed to seek professional help, and that's what I did, and I'm glad I did, because now I have the tools to best understand myself, and I know what works for people that have a brain like me and what doesn't work. And that's why I'm so excited to partner with today's sponsor, BetterHelp, because they make this first step of seeking professional help way less overwhelming. BetterHelp will connect you to a licensed therapist who can actually help you get to the root of whatever you're dealing with, whether it's childhood trauma, addiction, or just talking through all the thoughts that are going off on your head. They will help get you sorted. Because I've been there. Instead of just sitting there in your room and thinking to yourself, what is wrong with me? You can just actually have these conversations with someone who's trained to help you find these real answers to the things that you're questioning about yourself. Here's how it works. You take a quick questionnaire, and in a couple of days you'll be matched with a licensed therapist. And after you guys talk, if it's not the right fit, you can switch to a different therapist at no cost. Regardless, they make sure that every therapist on the platform is well trained and qualified, and their customer support team is always there to help you out. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform that you can trust. And I can't stress this enough, therapy isn't a sign of weakness. It is a tool that helps you understand yourself, a tool that helps you process the thoughts in your head, and a tool to help you figure out how to navigate the world that's best for you. To get started, tap the link below that'll take you to betterhelp.com/Amir Odom to get you 10% off your first month.
Have you ever wondered why there's so many more people diagnosed with autism than there was even 5, 10, 15 years ago? Let's talk about it. And spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with vaccines. So, if we look at this chart here, we can see that back in 2000, about 1 in every 150 children was diagnosed with autism in the US. While now, fast forward 20 years to 2020, that number is now 1 in 36. And that is a really big increase. But a lot of times people will start to freak out and they'll start to talk about how there's something that's clearly causing kids to be born with something that's affecting their brains. But as far as we can tell, if we look at statistics and we look at the data that we actually have, that's not actually the case. What is actually happening is that we've always been here. Autistic people have always been here. But I was born in 93 and I wasn't diagnosed for another 21 years. So we were always here. Autistic people were always here when I was...
Yeah, I mean, I think about, there's a rise in a bunch of people being gay. There is, for a small minority of people, it is a trend and they're trying to fit in, much like with autism. But a large chunk of the gays have always been there and they're still there. There's so many people identifying as straight when they're everything but, or they mess around with dudes on the low, or they have in the past. That's its own conversation. It reminds me of the left-handed conversation that I mentioned earlier. Oh, there's this big rise in people that are left-handed. Oh, they've always been there. It's just been stigmatized that maybe they shouldn't use that hand. And then now we're in a world that's more accepting of these people. And it just points back to this rise of technology and people sharing their experiences. More things are becoming relatable. We're able to connect more with one another and highlight these different things and experiences. And we're identifying it. It's easier to just call out and see. When we look back at this data, you go back to the year 1990, 1995, 2000, the people that have autism were typically the level 3 people. No one ever talked about level 1 and level 2, and a lot of the terms changed between Asperger's and autism and all the different levels, and the whole thing has opened up, and a lot more people are making connections, and a lot more people are sharing their experiences, and that's what people are relating to. And just because we see a sharp rise in something doesn't always mean that there's something major going on or causing it. Can there be? For sure. There totally can be something out there, but there doesn't always have to be that way, especially when I'm looking around at all these... with all due respect, some of these crunchy mom influencers and the no vax and no this, no that, completely cleaned out, like the full 9. I've seen some of their kids have a lot of problems. I've seen some of their births have a lot of problems. It's like, we don't know everything. We just don't. And to say that, oh, well, it's 100%, 10% vaccines that are causing autism. Y'all, there's so much going on. There's so much around us, so much that we're being infected with. Who really knows? And that, like I said before, we already know the sheer amount of people that they've always been there. Like this girl, she's always been around, just never was a part of any statistic out there.
Diagnosed at 21, my dad realized that he was also autistic. And then we realized that his mom was also autistic. So autistic people have always been here. But when you look at how much better we are at recognizing autism, because we understand that autism is more than just the most stereotypical traits of autism now. So more people qualify for the diagnosis because now we actually understand what autism really is. We're not only diagnosing the most obvious, most stereotypical cases, we're diagnosing even the ones that are a little bit harder to notice. So that right there is going to increase numbers by a lot. And then also, because as we learned more, we have adjusted the criteria that it takes to qualify for being autistic. That is also changing the numbers, because now we're recognizing more people that simply weren't being recognized before.
And that's a good point. We're just literally noticing and calling out more of the people that just weren't ever recognized in the past. So of course, we're going to see the number rise no matter what, much like the gay example. We're going to see way more people identify as gay. Plot twist, because it's more acceptable. We're fine with it. There's not all these lavender marriages and all these people in the closet suppressing it. There is, but they're all in their late 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Hello. But the gay men, they're still out there. The people with autism, they're still out there. There's so many people who are undiagnosed, especially later on, the boomers and the Gen X. That is a thing that's out there. When we look back at their lives, look back at their childhood, look back at their family history and different patterns and how they act, and if they really sit down and thought about it, damn, it was way prevalent back then too. It just wasn't the whole stereotypical thing that most people think about.
I didn't know until very recently. So when I was 48, I didn't know till I was 48. So my whole life I was like, why is this so hard? And then when you know, you're like, oh, all of those.
Perfect example. All these late diagnoses and people actually, going, getting testing or understanding who they are. And this whole time they've been living this life, not a part of any statistic. They're just a quote unquote normal person or neurotypical person. When in reality, this is someone with autism and just got diagnosed later on in life. Therefore, he's always been there, and that would have made the numbers in them charts like go like that. Instead of the numbers rising, it's going like that, where it's kind of leveling out because the late diagnosis is happening.
Oh, it's not that. It's that now everything makes sense. It's like such a gift to be given that information. Relive your life real quick and go, oh yeah, all those things are this, not that. And then you can also move forward in a different way because now you have like an understanding and some new tools and skills and things, and you're like, oh, now I can navigate these situations differently. So you start to change.
This is the best part about getting an actual diagnosis and getting actual help with these things, whether it be autism or ADHD, because it unlocks so many tools and resources to you that you can learn like, oh, damn, I thought I was just difficult. I thought I was just hard to deal with. I thought something was just wrong with me. When in reality, there's a lot more people out there dealing with the same things I'm dealing with in my head. And these are the tools that I use and what I do to keep my brain organized, keep files here and stay on a routine. They're just, you move through life differently. You really do. And there's a lot of people out there who are starting to understand this in themselves, connect with people, and doing the, self-diagnosing, but going down the path of actually getting diagnosed. And then that's changing lives out there. And I'm glad to see that. And that's why it does make me upset seeing, a certain subset and a rise of people in Gen Z and Millennials who are clinging to this, saying they have autism and making it their whole personality or just claiming to have something that they don't just to fit in because they have one quirk or they're a little bit awkward here or they act like this over here. It's like, it's more than that. It really is.
And then things start to go better. I used to have meltdowns like every day since you know me. Every day. And now it's like almost never. I understand why things affect me the way they do, like smells or sounds or whatever. I'm no longer just instantly like, oh my God, everything sucks. The smell, the sound, whatever. I'm like, I'm sensitive to that because of the way my brain is and whatever. So you have
That's
different
so
ways
wholesome.
you can cope
That's so
with
awesome.
it because you're like, oh, it's that, not just that I don't understand it. If you already know, you know already anyway. Like if he's saying what he's saying, he knows. But if you want to have the actual, like someone who's a professional tell you, then you go and you do it and you're like, of course. And then you go to therapy and you're like, oh, this isn't actually as bad as it felt like it was my entire life. Like I lived 48 years like a disaster, and 4 years now with like knowing who I am, and this is way better.
It's way better for a lot of people out there, and people have this view of what autism is in their head, or that's this huge negative thing and that it's extremely bad, when it's literally just a different pathway of how a brain works. The same with a different pathway of how someone's eyes are. Yes, these are, a lot of people don't know this. I have laser eye surgery. This is something I already hear. Somebody's like, this is a scam. They're blue light glasses because I still have very sensitive eyes. I have dry eye syndrome, like nobody's business. I always had very dry eyes even before laser eye surgery. But I wear these just because I'm looking at screens all day long. But the same way someone's vision's different, the same way somebody's brain can be wired different. It's just, I don't know, the same way a lot of people wear glasses to help fix their vision is the same way there's a lot of people out there, whether it be autism or ADHD, that have this same kind of spectrum or neural pathway of how their brain works, and they have to move through life a different way. And that's okay. We're all different. But again, just because you have something in common with someone who has autism doesn't mean you automatically have autism. Like that's also not how it works.
This Gen Z stare thing, it just is funny because it's like y'all swore y'all had autism and it really was just y'all have no social skills. That's just really what it is. I honestly, I really thought that the COVID thing was an excuse, but I guess it really did do a number on y'all because that was right before y'all was going to high school. Some of y'all was like going to be your last year of high school.
COVID did mess up a lot of teens out there, the late Gen Z. It did do a number, and I'm very curious how COVID is going to affect Gen Alpha. We already see some remnants of it happening. I made a video on it before, but this is a thing. Like the caption says, you don't have autism, you're just a Gen Z with no social skills. That exists. There are people out there that are Gen Z or millennials, whatever it may be. You just don't have social skills. And just because you don't have social skills doesn't mean you have autism. That's not how that works. You can't just like watch a TikTok and like, oh my gosh, damn, I'm bad with social skills too. Or damn, I get a little bit drained around people too. I must have autism. No, that's not how that works. And there's a lot of people out there doing that, and it's just not the case. You're just socially awkward because you were stuck in the house for 2-3 years in one of the most developmental times in your life. And that's it.
But you don't look autistic. You don't act autistic. Baby, I'm autistic. Right? I don't know what to tell you. One, it's super offensive to say, but you don't look autistic, right? Autism doesn't have a look. And I know that you think it's a compliment by like DMing me or leaving comments on my posts that are like, but you're so attractive. How could you be autistic? That is so ableist and incredibly offensive. I can't even say it, right? I've been diagnosed 3 different times in my life. 3. Not once, not twice, but thrice, okay? Once as a child, but no one ever told me. So I got diagnosed again as an adult when I was seeing my therapist, and then a year later, I had a psychiatrist and medical doctor diagnose me. And here's the thing, I trust them because they're experts, right? We're not experts because we're online scrolling, we see someone who's autistic and we follow them and we're like, oh, that's what autism looks like now, or my cousin's autistic or my brother's autistic. And so I'm an expert now because I know what it looks like. You know what it looks like for them.
Right.
Right? You're not an expert, and that's okay. I'm an expert. 1, because I'm autistic, so I'm an expert of me, but 2, I'm an expert because I'm a clinical social worker. So I trust myself as a human to know that I'm autistic. I trust myself, as a clinical therapist to know I'm autistic, and I trust my doctors who diagnosed me, right? So I just...
Valid. And autism doesn't have a look. Sure, there may be some traits that people share, but for the most part, that's not always the case, in that autism has a look. And that goes to show how we view disabilities at least in America, how we view disabilities and how we view someone with autism, how we expect them to look or how we expect them to be. Are there some people where you can tell something may be, not typically normal? For sure, whatever. But that's not always the case. And just because you can't clearly tell doesn't mean they don't have something or that they're making it up. Because like this guy said, he's been tested 3 different times. He has it. It's fine. But it's like to say, oh, but you don't look autistic. It's kind of wild. In case you're wondering, you're probably not autistic. You're just weird. I love that. The world is overstimulating. It's not you. Are there people out there who actually have autism, finding out things about themselves and moving through the world a different way that works best for them? Yes. Are there people out there actually getting clinically diagnosed? Yes. However, are there people who are just trying to cling on to something, to feel something, to be a part of an identity, to be a part of this community and just say they have something just to say they have it? For sure. I've seen it firsthand. I see it all the time. It's like you're just quirky. You're just a little weird. You just have a special hobby. But none of this automatically means that you have a touch of the Tism or that you're autistic. No, you're just someone that's a little bit different, and that's totally fine. Because we also have to remember there's a lot of things that we're experiencing as humans that are that's completely new to us. Technology, all of this stuff is new, and we're all navigating it in our own different worlds, and how we're interacting with it is different, and what it's doing to us is different. Guys versus girls, there's so much going on. It's already affecting our behaviors and how we move through the world. So we can't just associate, oh, well, I have this one thing in common with this person that's autism, or this one trait, therefore I have it or have a little touch. No, you're probably fine, and that's okay. This world is overstimulating. There's so much going on, so many different changes. You're more than likely good.
Hot take, not everything is autism. I know, hear me out. There seems to be a significant population on this app that believes that if you have a certain interest towards something and you develop skills in that subject, and God forbid you have a deeper than average understanding of that subject, you have autism. Like, let's say that you're a kid that grew up watching anime and the animations piqued your interest. And you say, wow, I would really like to learn how to draw like that. So what do? Over the next 5 to 10 years, you spend thousands of hours and thousands of dollars honing your skill. I'm talking, you learn how to draw backgrounds, you learn color theory, you learn different animation styles, you learn how to use Procreate, you learn how to use all of these apps, and then you decide to post a video of your progress. Hey guys, look what I can do. And here comes somebody saying, oh yeah, you must be autistic to be this good at something. Because a lot of people wholeheartedly believe that you cannot be that good at something without having some type of neurodivergence. When in reality, the only thing most people need to get good at something is time, passion, and persistence.
Yep.
And trust me, this is not a knock on people who actually have autism. In fact, I feel that by categorizing every little display of personality and passion as autism, you kind of invalidate their day-to-day lives.
Yes.
Now, that's not to say that you're not on the spectrum. You very well might be. But unless a medical professional diagnoses you with that, don't let TikTok do it for you. If you have any concerns about your mental health, please go get checked out by your person that went to school to help you.
Yes, go get actual help, go get an actual diagnosis, go learn about it more, but don't take 2-3 TikToks and say, yep, that's me, I see myself in that, I have autism, we're done, it's done. It's like we can't. I'll have another video, so be sure to subscribe, just focusing on the sheer amount of self-diagnosing that people have been doing and are doing. But again, it's bittersweet because self-diagnosis is oftentimes the first step, the first path to actually getting a real diagnosis. So it's helping people, but on the other side, it is invalidating a lot of the lived experiences for the people that actually do have said thing that they're being diagnosed with. Like, it doesn't account for the everyday experience and the little troubles and the little things that go on with somebody who actually has autism. You just have people out here just clinging on to something and just, again, wanting to relate, wanting to be a part of something. In reality, that's not the case. It's possible to hone a craft. It's possible to be passionate about a topic. It's possible to just be interested in something and not have autism. Like, it's okay. Like, you're good. And in doing so, and in claiming all these people saying, oh, I have autism, I have a touch of autism, you must, the ones that comment, oh, you must be autistic because of this, you're invalidating so much of what someone with autism actually goes through, and it's just not cool.
So I've started getting into like puzzles and stuff on the weekends. Oh, sounds like someone's got a touch of the Tism, if you know what I mean. Not everything is a symptom of autism. Sometimes people just enjoy things. I was thinking we could do one together.
Accurate. Not everything is a symptom of having autism or having ADHD, whatever it may be. It's not always the case, and there's a lot of people in Gen Z and late millennials doing this. And I hope that we'll get away from this trend of people saying every little thing is autistic. So I hope this video helped explain a little bit to you off the bare bones what autism is, what people actually go through and experience, and the different reasons as to why more Gen Z and even late millennials are identifying as having autism. Because yeah, there's a lot of information out there being spread. There's a lot of people sharing their lived experiences and the things that they're going through. And there is a good chunk of people relating to that. They relate with it. They're identifying themselves in it. And through that, they go out and seek the actual help, and then they learn that they actually are autistic. And then boom, like that millennial guy said, there's so much more that makes sense about yourself and looking back on your life, and you can change and navigate the world in a different way. Extremely helpful to a lot of people out there. And on the flip side, there's a lot of people that just says every little thing is autism, and they're just identifying with it to be a part of a trend and join a community. And they are the ones that's like ruining it and ruining the lived experience of the people that actually deal with it. Because there's nothing wrong with having autism. There's nothing wrong with seeing yourself in a video and, to a certain extent, self-diagnosing yourself, but then going down the route of actually getting a diagnosis. There's nothing wrong with that. And we're seeing this rise because more people are seeing the lived experiences of other people that are just like them. Because when you have autism, or even when you have ADHD, there's a laundry list of the tiniest little quirks, the tiniest little things that all stack and add up. And it's like, damn, like that's a real thing that I can relate with, and then I can communicate and work through with somebody. And it's because of this, and I'll focus on this in another video, why there's this huge rise of people who are having these late diagnoses. And it's these late diagnoses that deserve more attention, because on one end, there's a lot of people saying, oh, more people are being born with it, and more people have autism than ever before compared to the year 2000. Okay, well now, all the people that were born in 1980, 1990, and 2000, they're identifying as having autism, and they're clinically being diagnosed as having such. Therefore, they were never a part of that graph or that study to begin with, so it doesn't even show or match up. So it's like, it makes sense. Like, of course, we're seeing it rise more, but you're also seeing that number rise too because of all the people that are late diagnosed. You see what I'm trying to say? Like that's actually a thing. And then yes, like I said before, there's this trend, and that's why there's a rise in Gen Z especially with COVID and the social isolation that came from that. People are just more awkward. People just don't know how to act in public. People just are lacking social skills, but it's not always because they're autistic. A lot of the times because of what our world is right now and how we all communicate and operate as is. But this will be the first of many videos that will be talking about mental health and talking about the different struggles and ways that other people operate through life, whether it is autism, whether it be ADHD, and even for me, how my life was before and after getting diagnosed and understanding and relating to other different people out there. It's, again, we'll save that for another video, but this is the first of many videos to come on this topic of mental health and the things that people are going through. So if you like this video, be sure to subscribe and like. It helps the channel grow a ton, and send this off to somebody that you think might relate with this, or you've been talking to a group of friends about, because I do think, yeah, autism rates are rising, but I feel like it's always also been there. Yeah, you got this group, this subset of people that are trying to fit in, but a lot of the times it's fine to have autism, okay? It's not a bad thing. And there's people out there that deserve to be recognized and respected. So let me know in the comments below too, was this relatable to you? Are you someone with autism? Are you someone who has someone with autism in your life? Level 1s through 3. Even for yourself, are you on the spectrum? Are you a late diagnosis? Are you like a late Gen Z, early late millennial, or even Gen X, honestly, that's looking back in your life like, damn, I am autistic? Let me know in the comments below. Let's connect. Share your stories if you're open to it. We'd love to connect with y'all in the comments and help you guys, foster this community of people who have each other's back, because that's what my supporters do. Y'all are absolutely amazing, and I am very appreciative of you spending your time here. And again, like in every single video, I hope that you know that you are in more control of your life than you may realize. You just lock in tunnel vision, focus on you and only you, and you will achieve everything and anything you put your mind to. And then whatever you're going through in life right now, it's called going through it for a reason. You're not stuck there. You will survive. I don't know what the hell you got going on, any type of drama, family, life, relationships, school, work, it doesn't matter. It will pass and you will be good. So just keep on holding on, trucking through. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Deuces.